welcome back to the How I Got Greenlit podcast and YouTube show. I am your co-host, Sam Levine, and I am joined by Alex Keledjian, writer and director and the creator of Project Greenlight. Alex, how are you today?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Well, I just saw Weapons last night, so I don't know if I'm good. Isn't that really something you can see and
Shots fired
and feel good about? You know, it's funny, man. We've been doing these movies recently where it's kind of like these are the movies that do not reflect society. They reflect what we want, right? But not necessarily the reality of what we live in.
We were talking about superhero movies are becoming more escapist.
Yeah, and even our comedies, right? Like,
yeah,
The Naked Gun was a very silly escapist
more
comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is not that. This was a horror film that felt very much like, here are all the problems of today in America, you know, kind of like Rhode Island's not a road nor an island, discuss amongst yourselves. And I think it continues this long trend of, I think we're in this prestige horror time, right? Where we're getting all these horror films that are not just horror for horror's sake, right? They have subtext, they have context, they have meaning. And I think we're kind of living in the golden era for that. And if you want films that reflect reality, maybe horror's the genre to go to. What do you think?
I would call it, I mean, I'm not the number one horror aficionado, but in terms of what you're talking about, prestige horror, I would peg it as Hereditary.
Yeah.
Kind of kicked it off, I think.
Absolutely.
These, like, interesting kind of auteurs. We don't know a lot about them as people, but they're talented and they have something to say and they want the money to make a movie. So they're kind of like, how can I say this thing I want to say? Oh, I'll wrap a horror movie around it. And some are better than others at that. And they kind of create a discussion. Whereas a lot of horror movies, you're like, that was a horror movie, or it was either, it was too bloody for me, or not bloody enough, but it's just kind of disposable, like a Taco Bell, meal number 3 or whatever at 2 a.m. But this movie and Hereditary and even like Long Legs, there's a little more meat on the bone, which I like.
Yeah, I feel like, is it A24 that makes the movies Hereditary? And who's the director of Hereditary? What's his name?
That's...
he did Midsummer,
Yes.
He just did Eddington, which I saw.
You saw Eddington. How was that?
Well, all right, so
should we save it for another conversation?
No, we should talk about it because it goes with the theme of this, which is I'm not sure how much I need to be reminded through art how much some things suck in life. I think we're getting that already constantly. We're being barraged with information. Like, you rarely watch the news and it's like everything's great, right?
Well, it's Ari Aster.
Ari Aster, yep. So,
and I feel like he's part of this subgenre of directors like this. It's almost like, what if James Gray started out today?
Interesting.
And there was no mid-budget drama for him to do.
Mm-hmm.
He probably would be a guy like Ari Aster, or Robert Eggers, or these people where they're smart and they're talented, but they kind of go to horror just to like pay the bill. Midsummer, Hereditary. Mm-hmm. Definitely horror movies, doing it his own way. But then that allowed him to do a movie like Beau is Afraid, or even Eddington, which is probably where he wanted to go to begin with. It's almost like you got to do a horror movie to get in the game.
Yeah. I think one of the issues with making sort of reality-based allegory, right, even though that's kind of a contradiction, is that in a world without cable news and a barrage of constant media that is telling you everything that is wrong with the day, then sort of exposing the faults of society through art makes sense. But now I feel like when I watch something, whether it's Don't Look Up or these horror films or a movie like this, I don't feel like they're breaking new ground or that I'm learning something new that I haven't been getting in the information ecosphere and ecosystem for the
every day, all day, every second, all day. Yeah. So I feel that I grew up in an era when there was like a weekly roundup of news.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been McLaughlin Group on television,
Mm-hmm.
which now most people know is like the joke from SNL, like,
Mm-hmm.
no, you're wrong, next. But actually, like, it was they had lefties and righties,
Yeah.
and they were like, no, you're wrong. This policy sucks, whatever. And it was kind of an interesting debate show. Then you had Newsweek, Time, any editorial page of a newspaper. Now, I know that those things all technically exist, but in terms of like cultural resonancy and like leading the conversation, they've been overtaken. There used to be a moment when the culture would take a breath, gather in everything that happened in the previous week and sort of digest it and come up with like a collective feeling about it. Now, what's the fella's name? Who's that crypt keeper that used to work for Donald Trump? The guy who worked in the film business. He may have melted finally into a puddle on his chair, but before that, he was the guy who said flood the channel with shit. His philosophy for the first Trump administration is, you have your devious plans, keep doing them, but while you're doing them, have Trump come out and say, up is down, Mexico's going to pay for the wall. Just like declarative statements, not based in any fact, never to be followed up on in any sort of policy way, but just a throwing an M80 in a crowded cafeteria, and everybody goes, what? Mexico pay for the wall? And meanwhile, cut school subsidies, like cut, income tax for billionaires, the things that you wanted to do, but you're distracting the what used to be called the mainstream media. You're distracting the blogosphere and the whatever social sphere. And you're just constantly flowing information with no curation of what the importance of any of it is. And that continues to this day because it worked. It worked. His shit flooding theory actually worked. We all know it's going on day to day, and we all have to stop ourselves from reacting to every little hashtag that like pops in front of our face and get perspective. So that's my long way of saying, I think these movies are fulfilling a needed curation, processing, commentary, opinion piece role of what is reality now.
Yeah, so let's talk about Weapons for a little bit. I'm watching Weapons, and I'm thinking to myself, this movie seems to be about a lot. And it maybe isn't about one thing in particular. If you go online and you read about this movie, and by the way, we got to spoil this movie. I do not think we can talk about it without spoiling it. So if you haven't seen Weapons, stop listening, go watch it, come back. But I read a lot online that some people think this movie is about school shootings. Some people think it's about child abuse, like sexual abuse. To me, there are so many very on-the-nose clues and symbols about what this movie is about that I'm not sure it's about any one thing. But I do remember thinking to myself as I was watching it, I kind of wish this movie was just about a witch.
I think that, so I thought, fine, if we're going like full Monty, then when I saw the vision of the floating AR-15 over the house.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of dream sequences in this movie, and they're subjective. So every major character, it's an indie film in the sense that there's chapters. There's each individual character has their own Rashomon perspective on the crazy events of this small town. You kind of piece it together from these like different points of view. So, and including each of them has like a dream that's sort of trying to make sense of the craziness. So Josh Brolin, who clearly plays a non-red hat wearing Trumper kind of MAGA person, got the truck, got the gruff attitude, got the son that doesn't love him, got the construction business, he's just doing the whole thing. And the anger and the like, fuck teachers and this and that. So his vision is an AR-15 over a house. Yeah. And to me, I'm like, oh, we're going there. Like the ghost or the goblin. We don't know what the bad person thing, superstition, whatever it is yet. So we just know that something's fucking with this little town. And so I was like, oh, it's going to possess Josh Brolin. He's going to go into his extensive gun collection in the woodshed and come out firing at the teacher that he doesn't like and the school, and he'll go to the next school board meeting and blow it up, right? That's where I thought they were going with it. And then it didn't go anywhere there. And I found out later that the director had a dream about an AR-15 floating in the sky and decided, well, David Lynch always puts in sort of like non sequitur dream imagery, like, can I? And it's like, well, yes and no. To me, that was a big fat red herring. Like, okay, that's where that movie's going. And then it didn't go that way at all.
Yeah, speaking of the director, Zach Kreger, I was shocked to learn he was one of the founding members of the Whitest Kids You Know sketch comedy troupe, which is actually a show I used to watch.
That's funny.
I did not expect that he would turn into this kind of director, especially because in terms of an actor, he was not even close to the most talented member of that troupe. I mean, that troupe sort of rested on the shoulders of that guy, Trevor, who actually died. And some people think that there's, symbolism about the death of his friend, I would say. But back to the movie, the AR-15 was my least favorite part of the movie. I actually liked weapons, but it was so on the nose as to me, I couldn't even tell if it was meant to be on the nose, because when I see a movie that's that well made, but then there's this one part of it that's so on the nose, I'm thinking to myself, is this intentionally on the nose? Like, it bothered me because the symbolism was too much.
Yeah, it was like too. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, just to backtrack a little bit, what I liked about this movie is I had no idea what it was about. The poster was like vague. I didn't know that Josh Brolin was in the movie. I didn't know really any of the sort of backstory. I just knew people liked it. Friends of mine, family members liked it. And I was purposely like, okay, don't tell me. They just said it's a horror movie. I'm like, doesn't really look like a horror movie. And it doesn't really quack like a horror movie, but I guess it is a horror movie because there's a supernatural element. I would almost call it like a supernatural thriller. It was like Jaws, and the shark was like a weird old lady. Yeah. So is Jaws a horror movie? Is what I'm saying.
Jaws is absolutely a horror movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So that being said, one thing I was really pleasantly surprised to see was the return of Amy Madigan. I'm a huge Field of Dreams fan, so I'll always think of her as Kevin Costner's wife in Field of Dreams.
And yet I didn't recognize her for the first 15 minutes of her being on screen.
Well, she's so much older, and then she's also dressed up.
They made her look. She's not as bad off as that. They made her look like a monster, basically.
She's also in one of the most underrated television shows of all time from HBO called Carnival. So I actually would think if you liked weapons, Carnival, and I may have already mentioned Carnival on this podcast. I usually mention Carnival about once a day. Somehow it finds its way into my conversations. Weapons was super interesting because I'm watching it and I'm thinking to myself, this would be great if it just meant nothing. If it was just this fairy tale, this really spooky fairy tale about this suburb. And I think you can watch the movie and decide to view it that way. I don't think there's any reason you have to read too much into the movie if you don't want to.
I agree. I think that, by the way, it's interesting subtext that he came from a comedy troupe because there is some genuinely funny moments in this movie.
Absolutely. This movie's very funny.
And I think it pulled off the tonal ballet of like genuinely scary, genuinely funny, genuinely poignant, like relatable, like a little mishmash of everything. The always great Julie, is it Garner? No. Is it who's the gal, the teacher from
it's the girl from Ozark. It's the girl from Ozark
who kind of always steals shit she's in, which I think is great. She was in our recent Fantastic Four viewing as the Silver Surfer. So
Julia Garner.
Yeah, Julia Garner. Love her. And supposedly to play Madonna in the biopic, which I think would be genius. But usually plays a bigger than life character very well, like Ozark. In this one, she plays kind of the straight man, and well. And although I didn't like Wolfman, we could maybe subsect off in that about like contemporary horror with Julie Garner that didn't work. But it gives you a little bit of everything. Here's not to drop names, but our once and future guest, Craig Perry, the producer of all of the Final Destination movies, soon to be the Final Destination 7 in progress. He said, look, any original IP that makes $285 million off a $35 million like budget, like this is a good thing for our business. And I agree. A good thing for our art and our culture. It's well made. It's wholly original. I mean, there is influences, but I'd never seen a movie like this. I didn't know where it was going. How many movies now? We're so oversaturated by stories, shows, movies, and we know mostly where it's going to go. I didn't know where this movie was headed. I didn't know what was on its mind. You know, out of nowhere, Aaron Eldridge shows up. I'm like, oh, that kid's in it. I like him too. Han Solo, the once and future Han Solo, plays a role. I
thought he was excellent in this movie, by the way. I thought he was really good.
And that tone of like kind of goofy. Then he's kind of mean. Then he's kind of scary. Then he's kind of goofy again. Then all of a sudden he's a murdering assassin zombie fucking monster. Like, I was trying to explain to my girlfriend who never watches horror movies, and I'm like, so the reason this is a horror movie is because there's an unspecified threat that's seemingly unstoppable, that doesn't adhere to norms or rules or basic like defense against a common enemy. And the heroes have to figure out what it is and then what are the rules that it operates by in order to defeat it by the end. So in that sense, it was very traditional. Okay, what's going on? We don't know. Is it ghosts? Is it something in the water? Is it, it could be aliens. We have no fucking idea. Just something's going on. The kids disappeared. We don't know why. There's no explanation. Eerie video. By the way, almost every movie now has to have video in it because that's our world, right? So you have to intercut either a cell phone video, a surveillance video, a Nest Cam video. It's interesting how you can't make a movie now without acknowledging that cameras exist everywhere in our lives, and through the course of it, it's even like given to you. Witch. Like I thought they were going to say bitch when I saw it, and it was witch, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then is it blood? And no, it's not blood. It's paint. And like, so I like how all that was kind of filled in, and it didn't really start going off the rails till halfway through. It was a slow burn. It was like eerie. It was, jump scares and things that kept you like leaning forward, but not overt. What is this? Why is this? And how do we stop it? Right. Which I liked. You're kind of playing along.
Yeah. The thing, that really fascinated me about this was I felt like I had seen this movie before, and it was that Hugh Jackman movie. What was that movie called?
Yeah. Oh, not Enemies.
No, not Enemies, but same director, Denis.
Yeah, Enemy. It was Denis' movie.
Yeah.
Yes, another small town gone wrong kind of movie where everybody's racked by, that's the other thing that I hate. And then I ended up not caring in this movie is when you see a horror movie that's going to bank on prisoners.
Yeah,
when you see a movie where the children are the victims or the children are at harm, it's such a, going back to what you're saying about like sort of ripped from the headlines or whatever is, we call ourselves the worst things. You're a Nazi. Like that became you're a Nazi. Then everyone's like, well, that's not strong enough. You're a child eating fucking endocrimatic fucking raper. Yeah. And so now we're at the point where the president may or may not be a raper and, like all this shit. And it's the word, look, as a storyteller, I always think about it. I'm like, why did we go there? And I'm like, because you can't imagine a worse thing. What's the worst thing another human being could do to a human being could do to another human being? Well, kill them or rape them. Okay. Well, how do you up that ante? Oh, make it an innocent child who hasn't hurt anyone and can't defend itself, right? Which we all, it takes a village. We just have this like, our brains and our ears are attuned to the frequency of a baby crying. That's why police sirens are at that, like we're inborn to protect babies and children, even if we don't have them. Yeah. And when somebody hurts them, forget it, right? We're going to rip you limb from limb. And as it turns out, that's what they do. I saw the end of this movie and I said to my girlfriend, I'll bet this guy had a vision of like, how do you turn the most innocent thing in our culture, the most harmless thing, into the monster at the end?
Sure.
And he did that. He had the children be the weapons and enact their rage on the sort of like focus of all the problems and troubles in this town and the deaths and the tortures and the horribleness. So it was a cathartic, like, yeah, get her. Yeah. And then by the end, you're like, ooh, and like, and they even said like, and one of the kids started talking like a year later. So there's like this like traumatic level to it. Yeah. Almost like, yeah, you wanted it. You got it. We made her a really good bad guy. You really fucking hate her. But guess how we're going to like take her out? It's not going to be Julia Garner punching her in the face. It's going to be the children themselves ripping her up,
Yeah, I read some interesting theories on this movie. One being that it is about generational warfare, so that the witch played by Amy Madigan represents
the boomers who are the source of all our fucking angst in the world. Yeah.
Exactly. And then Josh Brolin is the Gen X, right? So he's angry. I'm Gen X. There's a bifurcation. There's the ones that identify up, and there was the ones that identify down, right? Because we're not a real generation. We're if you look at any like chart that they make, they don't even say us. They just go like boomers, millennials, and you're like, wait, what about that other thing? So he's the older X that are like, well, my values are, truth, justice, the American way. Like he's an honorary boomer, right? Okay. He's an older X. Whereas like, I mean, I guess Julia Garner isn't really applicable, but like some of the other parents that he talks to that like drive Priuses. I love how they throw in Justin Long, which by the way, we should also mention this guy did Barbarian, correct? Which I really enjoyed. And again, cut from the not what you think it is, have no idea going in. I'm like, is Conan the Barbarian in the fucking basement? And then it turns out to be something you didn't expect, and fun and funny and scary and spooky and ooky. I actually want to ask you about the Justin Long character. You're talking about this split, this bifurcation in Gen X. And so the Justin Long character, he's one of two people. He's a married couple, right? They live across the street from Josh Brolin. And it's very clear that Justin Long's wife and their child also disappeared, does not like Josh Brolin, and we do not know why. And I wanted to ask you about that. What did you read into that? Because you were supposed to read into it.
Because she was the mermaid Aquamarine from the film of the same name.
I did not know that.
And I believe also married to the director. Oh. And so as far as like what that is, I think that like that, those two guys represent two Gen X, right? So the Justin Long is the techno, blue state, Prius, right? Future leaning, human right, just like that guy. Like he's he's like the Obama guy. Like look forward to the future, progression, whatever. And
you know what he is? He's the Mac guy, and Josh Brolin is the PC guy.
That's it. That was it.
And literally Justin Long, famously the Mac guy. I have a very strange connection to him, which is my mom's best friend used to be his high school teacher in Connecticut, of all things. And I've been a Justin Long fan since the TV show Ed, which I'm not proud of loving that show, but I did. And
No,
I have
but
to
that
own
was
up to it.
that was the birth of Julie Bowen onto like pop culture radar.
Correct.
We loved her. So yeah. So meaning he's become literally in a commercial the shorthand for a certain kind of Gen X person, almost an archetype walking and talking. And so in the last movie, I mean, you could argue this is like a Barbarian's verse or something. Maybe that guy ended up somewhere, but most likely it's just, hey, Justin, just do your Justin thing, right?
Yeah.
And he does it well, and he did it really fucking well in Barbarians. But this was more like an extended cameo. He's like, hey, Bob, how you doing? Like, what are you doing on my lawn? You know? And in fact, he's kind of like backing away, like, are you going to have a postal moment on me or something?
Yeah.
And I think it's from that. I think he's just a bad neighbor, bad attitude, probably fixing his motorcycle at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning. I perceive their kind of just disdain for him as maybe he had a Trump flag. Just
he's all testosterone.
Chill the fuck out. Why do you have to wear your identity on your sleeve? You know, like, just leave us alone. We don't want to have, it's a small town. We paid a lot of money for these property taxes. Just let our kids fucking whatever. And by the way, I also think you had this fun subtext of, so Brolin really humanizes this guy.
Yes.
He loves his son. He misses his son. He's fucked up. But then you see slowly but surely, like, his kid's a shit. His kid's bullying the other kids. His kid is responding to the rage that his father projects on him every day. So the whole thing is like, I never said I love you. And it's like, yeah, of course you didn't, because your father never did. It's like one of those internet memes about like generational trauma. And you kind of see it played out because Justin Long and the wife's response are like, what are you going to fucking shoot us? Like, you fuck with us all day. You're at the school board meeting calling for blood. You're voting for the wrong guy. You're putting flags in your thing. Your goddamn truck's too loud. You whatever. Like, they just don't like him by sight. And it's sort of this, what came first in American society, the chicken or the egg? Like, did the blue state person wear their righteousness on their sleeve, which then triggered, to use the T word, the red state person to be like, you're not better than me. Fuck you. I'm better than you. I'm going to be more vocal about my shit. I'm going to wear it. I'm going to wear 17 flags on my fucking speedboat, and I'm going to do this and that. And then that triggers the blue person like, fascist. So it's like, basically, I think what the movie's saying is, we're so what do they say about revolution? I was watching this, like, what are the recipes of like a revolution? And it's America is a dry tinder box, and Trump is flicking matches at it.
Yeah. And
like, we're not healthy right now. So
correct.
Trauma will beget tragedy. And that's kind of what this movie's saying, is this town is a raw nerve. And maybe they're pretending it's not. We're in the suburbs. We paid a lot of money to be peaceful. Shut the fuck up. We're fucking peaceful out here, you fuckers. It's that kind of like simmering pissiness.
Yeah.
It's what sends people to the liquor store at 10:30 on a Tuesday, which is a funny scene. And even like the way that, I mean, some of it's a little broad. I will say that, like, the girlfriend of the cop character who kind of has her moment in the liquor store with Julie Garner. She
makes the most of that moment. That actress, her name's Diane Raphael, I believe. She makes the most of that moment.
You believe her somewhat. She's a little big, and
she's a comedic actress.
It's because the director wants to throw more red herrings at us. The AR-15. Oh, it's going to be a Josh Brolin gets possessed and shoots up the school movie. No, it's going to be the weird girlfriend is possessed and tries to kill Julia Garner in the liquor store. No, it's really just a jealous spat. Like, we're on edge. Like, is this the thing? Is it vampires? Is it aliens? Is it? And that was a bit much now in retrospect, but he goes for the laugh. Like, you can see he came up through comedy, because he's like, well, I can't leave a laugh here. I got to like punch it 3 more times,
Let me ask you a question. All right. if the movie Parasite never came out, is this movie called Parasite? I really believe, like, I'm watching this movie and there's so much emphasis and focus on parasites, and I have to believe he had originally planned to call this movie Parasite.
Well, I didn't see Parasite, so I can't speak to it. I'm aware of it. I know the commentary that they're within. I think that I don't mind that they're trying to use genre movies to make commentary. I mean, look, I mean, my first movie was written as a drama. It was a drama about like an indie rock band. And my friend read it and he goes, no one cares about an indie rock band. Make it a genre movie if you want to get money to make it. So that's a conversation that goes on every single day in this business. And for whatever reason, and we could dissect that now because we're talking about horror movies in general, but for whatever reason, since I was a teenage werewolf, like fucking horror movies are perennial money earners at the box office. They just are. Good ones, bad ones, medium ones, commentary rich ones, fucking thrown off ones. They just fucking Piranha started John Sayles' career, like Piranha 2 started James Cameron's career. Like we can go on and on about it. So I just think this guy wanted to get a movie made, had a small town as America metaphor movie that he kind of wanted to tell. This filmmaker particularly has some sort of what's the word I'm looking for from Jungian psychology, the spider mother. No, I believe that's what they call
Maybe
it.
It is.
The female archetype of, like, do you remember the Grendel character from one of the first stories we have, like Beowulf?
Yeah, Beowulf. Yeah, of course.
So the mother of the Grendel, it's the witch in the cave that we don't understand the feminine power. There is a mystery. There is an eldritch quality that because we don't understand, we're afraid. Josh Brolin is a perfect archetype for that. I work with my hands.
Yeah.
I know how to build a gun. I know how to fucking build a house. I don't know about this fucking magic shit. It's like he's not a warlock. He is a warrior. He is a man. He is like literal and out there in the world, and he deals with, hard facts. And the Amy Madigan character, Auntie, whatever the
Gladys.
fuck, Auntie Gladys, she's very much in the barbarian sphere. She has the weird hair, she has the weird skin, she has the weird older feminine. It's not just a lady, it's like an old lady. There's something about
she also represents
an old
the
lady.
Ancient. I mean, she represents the ancient.
Yes.
She represents the mystery, right? Because in the suburbs, in the modern world, there is no mystery, and she is the mystery.
Yes, and she comes in.
Yeah.
Not unlike movies, even like Something Wicked This Way comes, if you remember from the late 70s. It's the Spielberg thing. Small town. And then you throw in the element. It could be E.T., it could be a shark, it could be a witch, it could be a disease, it could be Eddington had COVID. I mean, it's the small town. We can manage it. We can look at it. There's a border to it, but they have all our archetypes. They have old Lefty, the guy who runs the store, and there's just the things we know. The principal, the kindly principal. We've seen that character a bajillion times. And Bernard Wong, I believe, is the actor's name, who I love from Doctor Strange in the MCU. He plays
Benedict Wong.
Benedict.
And he also played Kubla Khan in a pretty bad Netflix series about Kubla Khan, obviously. Or actually, it was called Marco Polo. But Benedict Wong is the best part of that show, to be fair to him.
And he's one of the best parts of this movie. Absolutely. What I love is they got all people that haven't done horror. I mean, Garney has, but like Josh Brolin, I've never seen a horror movie, maybe since he was like 22. Benedict Wong, never seen him in a horror movie. Amy Madigan, and so they're like, hey, you could tell they're like, let's have some fucking fun. Like, I'm in a horror movie, so like they give Benedict Wong like quite a lot to literally and figuratively chew on in his role, right? He goes from the sweet, kindly guy Then we discover, oh, he's in a like married gay relationship. Oh, aren't they cute? And then it just goes, south very quickly. So there's a lot to like about this movie. I mean, are you saying you didn't want the commentary, you didn't want the chocolate with the peanut butter, or you did? You liked that?
Here's what I think. I'm glad you asked that question. So for me, something I'm realizing is movies that confront the issues of the day, whether it's Don't Look Up, which is a comedy, or the Ari Aster movies, which are horror movies, or a movie like this, which is a horror movie, it almost feels like people are less ready to confront the issues of the day in a straightforward, dramatic way. And that oddly, by viewing them as horror movies, by adding that context or that peanut butter to them, they actually become more digestible. I mean, imagine you're watching a straight-up drama about a school shooting. I think that would be harder than watching something like this, which adds this unbelievable
I wouldn't go.
element.
I don't see that. And,
right,
and
exactly.
I was reticent about when I saw the kids on the poster and I saw weapons, and it kind of to me implied some kind of school violence or something, violence against children in general.
Yes.
I was like, fuck that. It's lazy writing.
I agree with you entirely.
And people came back and said, no, just go for it. I'm like, okay. So do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
It already kind of pressed my button the wrong way. I'm a parent.
Same
I think
here.
that and I think that I never really liked that. But then when I had kids, I'm like, yeah, fuck you, dude. You got to earn my attention. Like when you see a lot of these lazy TV shows, especially, serial killer, blah, blah, blah. They, that's where they go. They go like kids and like just the most vulnerable of our world. And I'm kind of fucking sick of it. So
I totally agree.
What I liked was by the end, they were kind of saying like, and of course I love when a character says the name of the movie in the movie, and Josh Brolin's like, it's almost like they're weapons of mass destruction or whatever he said, and like weapons. But he flipped it by the end. I think the filmmaker was like, I'm going to make him think it's about a serial killer that eats children, or I'm going to make him think it's about a ghost that possesses them. And then by the end, he's like, nope, they're gonna like render the fucking return to normalcy that the movie is demanding us to want the blood for, right? Which I liked, but again, it was almost like the Ferris Bueller chase at the end. Like they were trying, he was right on the line.
It's so
right
good,
on
though.
the line. It's like
so good though.
Like
it
they're
is
jumping over fences.
In my opinion, it's the best part of the movie
because he earned it. We hated her so much.
And if Amy Madigan is going to get an Oscar nomination or possibly the award, it'll be the first time ever anyone got it for running. The way that this woman runs is spectacular.
Yeah. No, how do I say this? We're rooting for the filmmaker to pull off the triple Lutz jump.
Okay.
We come in, this is any movie. We come in, we're not there to like chop them down. We're there to be like, exceed our expectations, surprise us, engage us. And, so you set up these parent characters of the child and the whole thing. And that woman looked about 80, like that's not her sister. Like what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like we gave him a lot of license to be like, okay, sure. Long Legs is her long lost sister. What the fuck?
No, it's her mother's sister. It's the great aunt.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, see, that's
she's
point
her
one.
great aunt.
I was like, this woman is not.
At one point, the millennial mom says, we're going to take her in because this is what my mom would have done.
Oh, see, I thought it's my sister. The mom is dead. I've lost touch with my family, which happens a lot.
Yeah.
And, but my mom was more of a generous spirit, and this is her child, and I need to help. So you're saying this was the mom sister.
It's the mom sister.
All right, well, that helps a little bit.
I mean, so much of this movie is unbelievable.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, just the idea that the police would take one look at this woman and this household and not just immediately know the kids are there, but also I read that part of it is about how much we miss, right? Especially when it comes to like school shootings, that a lot of times the clues are right in front of our face and that authorities miss things.
That we don't want to see it, or we're you've seen, I mean, you've probably heard of this, like since the coming of like, I mean, it started with Manhunter and then it was like CSI, and, you know, we've had 20, 30 years of this, but it's hard to find a jury to just listen and learn and follow along. They want to believe in the magic of CSI. They want to believe in the magic of a DNA or a fingerprint or whatever it is. It's helpful, but it's not a fix.
Right.
It's not the solve. And a scary number of crimes go unsolved every year, and murders and like awful shit, as well as the inevitable, he went to jail for 20 years because someone said he murdered that person, but really the DNA exonerated them, and, you know, here's $14 and a new fucking Chevy Nova, get the fuck out of here. And similarly in this kind of movie there, I mean, look, I go back to Jaws because it's the sleazy mayor character in like the polyester suit. Like, they don't want to know. And even Benedict Wong doesn't want to know. He's the authority figure. There's no mayor in this movie, but I would say that the biggest authority figure is the Benedict Wong K through 8 principal, who's like, look, everyone calm down. All is well. We'll figure it out. Let's just chill out. And the parents are like, no, all is not well. We want something done, you know? And all that rang true. It's the challenge of these movies. You have to make us believe that this is coming from, this town is set in our world. I don't even know if they told us what state it's in. It's more like Springfield, America kind of town, right?
All right, so here's my final question for the episode. We've all had friends who are horror movie nuts, right? I'm talking back to the 90s, guys who like Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, Halloween, all that stuff. How do you feel the horror community, old school horror community, feels about the sudden prestige varnish that horror movies are getting now? Do you think they resent it, or do you think they're glad for it?
I can't speak for them, but I think they like it. I think it's good. It means that the genre's continuing to make money. It's continuing to be out there. I think there is. I mean, look, James Gunn started with Toxic Avenger.
Oh, which, by the way, the new one looks great, and I cannot wait to do that one.
So I'm just saying that's the opposite of prestige. That's like self-aware, shitty, fun. We're all in this together. And now he's like, you know, an A-list mainstream director. So I think that there's an aspect of like the horror community, the horror guys won. They continue to be made. They of all different stripes. So that's like saying, well, I only like drawing room comedies. I don't like gross out comedies. Like a comedy is a comedy, and that means like you're going to get more of a little bit of everything. So I think if I could speak for them, I'd say like the more the merrier, and the better they are, usually the better the box office is. Therefore, the other horror movie that you do want to see, maybe more crazy and out there and less prestigious, will get made.
All right, Alex. Well, that's today's episode. Once again, thanks a lot. This is the How I Got Greenlit podcast. You know, just as always, rate and review us on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all that stuff. It just helps get the word out. Watch us on YouTube. Share with your friends.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button. Exactly. Alex, thanks again. I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, bud.
Later.
Talk to you soon. Bye.